Hey, welcome back. So it's been another day. Happy Father's Day to everybody out there. I hope you get to enjoy some time with your own dad, or if you're a dad yourself, with your kids. And of course, my kids have abandoned me, so I am playing a solitaire game with YouTubers online. They're here. They spent most of the day with me. I didn't mean to pick on them so much. Anyways, if I remember correctly, we were at the point where raids were to happen. The rules say that 4 raids are supposed to happen, but I only see 3, so we're only going to do 3. We can't make up a raid that doesn't exist, so just grabbing the timetable here, and the first raid up to business is the Berbers. So if you remember from last time, the Berbers have a raid minus marker in this little location here, Utica, and technically the Romans should have moved in there. That was my fault for forgetting to do that. But when the Romans went, they would have moved this guy there, just because it caused an issue last time. And you don't necessarily need 2 troops in the same place, and if they were to ever get attacked, they can always intercept. So anyways, that's what the Romans would have done. I apologize I'm doing it late, because we know that that's where the raid's going to happen again. So the Berbers only have 2 units, and they can raid anywhere that has an empty city, and it's from Numidia, and there's only 1 location, and that is here. So if you remember, the raids are a simple die roll, so hopefully we can get through this a lot quicker than previous times. And the raid rolls, I believe they are on the back of one of the player aids. I'm looking. I don't see it. Yep, I don't see it. So all right, so here we go. Raids. Has to target a civilized enemy province with an empty city site, which is this one. That's the only place it can target. It must be adjacent to the starting location, or there may be a single intervening province because they're raiding in depth. A province with a limes or fortified city cannot be crossed. All right, so let's roll. I rolled a 5, okay? So then there's this table here, and the table is basically saying -1 per civilized unit in the province, so that's the reason why I moved that Roman marker over, so that becomes a 4. +1 or 2 from a previous raid, so that cancels it out. They get a +1. And you can see here that a 5 is a victory point, and then the raid minus marker stays. So they still didn't quite improve. They don't get money. Raiders don't get money, but they do get a buck, and this is the green player. So I'm giving $1 or 1 victory point to the green player, and that's it. That's all the raid does. Next raid is, and of course I closed my book. That wasn't very smart of me. The next raid is the Kush against the Persis. Okay, this is the red player, and it's the Kusani, and they're going up against Persia. I don't know what the point is of having the units. Like, the units don't do anything. You just roll a die and see if the raid succeeded or not. I guess, hold on, the units can possibly settle down. So it's going to be right here. There is a unit there. We have a raid plus marker there. So that's going to be able to add +2. And, oh, they rolled an 8. This is going to be bad for the Persians. Okay, so -1 because of the unit there, so it becomes a 7. But then +2 because there's a raid plus marker there, that becomes a 9. And a 9 is you draw a pillage marker, you gain 3 victory points, and then you eliminate any Lima's president and place the raid plus. So the 3 victory points, that's 3 points for red. So I'm gonna grab a $5, take $2 back. The raid plus marker is already there, and let's grab a pillage marker. Somebody said that I was supposed to resolve a usurper event. I don't remember drawing a usurper event last time. Maybe I did, but I don't remember that. So it's an extra $1, which doesn't do anything, but the pillage marker does go on, even though it's an empty city. So we'll go ahead and do that. And then the last raider is the Picts. Now the Picts lost miserably last time. They're going up against the Lima's fort. Okay, so it's these two. I'm not even gonna bother putting them on a map. Let's just roll. They rolled an 8, that's a really good roll. The Lima's fort does count as a civilized unit, so it becomes a 7. And a 7 I don't think makes a difference versus an 8. -1 if the, oh, I'm sorry, I'm looking at the wrong thing. Where did the raid page go? What on earth happened? Oh, here we go. Oh, I'm going crazy. So a 7 or 8, they both have the same result. 3 victory points, eliminate any Lima's present, and place the raid plus marker. So raid plus marker will go there for the Picts, and they get 3 points, which is blue. So 3 points for blue. And the Lima's is gone. And a raid plus marker. Raid plus marker is right there. Okay, that concludes the raids. That was a lot quicker than last time. This time, now the caravans. We do the caravan step. So that's a new step for us. So what we do is we roll for an exceptional caravan. So I rolled a 3. And you can see there's this little table here that says that reggae gets the exceptional caravan, and that's this here. So I don't know. Well, this is a caravan token. I'm not exactly sure what exactly it's implying, but so reggae, I don't know where that is. We know so there's 1, 2, 3, there's 4 caravans. There's this one in Tripoli, Tripolitania, so that's 1. We know there's one way up there in Scythia, and I don't think that's called reggae. That is called Syracuse. Then there's Egyptius, so there's a caravan here. And then the last one is the reggae caravan, so where would that be? I would assume it's along the edge. Yeah, right here. So this one is extra valuable. I don't know if I have the right token there, but that is the exceptional caravan. What does exceptional caravan mean? Oh, it's something about it pays double or something like that. Here's what happens. If civilized, and what they're talking about is if the caravan is controlled by if the area the caravan's in is controlled by civilized nation, they get 1 per caravan province controlled. They get 5 if it's an exceptional. So the Persians are going to get 5. That's what that means. Now, if the barbarians loot a caravan, they have to do a D2 check. But if it's an exceptional caravan, they get it automatically. And let's say they do pass, they draw a pillage marker, and they draw 1 more if the caravan event is in effect. Pillage markers provide 1 to 3, and some have secondary effects that you have to resolve immediately. So the caravan here, Tripolitania, is controlled by the Romans, so they'll get a buck. The Byzantines have the one in Nubia, the Persians have that one, and that one up there can be pillaged by the barbarians. Now, if they do pillage, I don't know if that's their whole action or if they can do a move, so that's the one thing I need to check. And this player aid doesn't say. I mean, I definitely know raiders can pillage a caravan. It's more of a matter of what's the timing of it and when does it happen. Is it just something that automatically happens during income, or is it something that happens during their action phase? All right, so I'm somehow in the income phase here. Income from caravans is gained earlier during the caravan's sub-step. Okay, so there is a caravan promise normally provides an income of 1. Each turn exceptional can provide 5. If you get the caravan event, it makes it even more. A barbarian nation that controls it gets to loot it. Yeah, it's just an automatic thing. Okay, so right now, I guess everybody gets income. So the Byzantines get nothing. The Romans get 1, and then 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 for the Persians. And then as far as the Hunnies go, the Huns, we're going to roll an even as a success. I rolled, that is a 2. I know you can't see it, but it's a 2. So that's a success, and so they loot it for whatever this pillage marker says. All right, so they get $3 plus number 16 happens, whatever that is. So let's figure out their money first. So they get $3. And sorry about the focus issues there. And, oh, what does 16 do? During a nation's military phase activation, the target leader gets 1 extra campaign at no cost. Oh my gosh, the Huns are going to go bonkers. Okay, so we're done with that. Now we go to the administration phase, and this part is new as well. So the first thing that happens is a non-Catholic barbarian can decide to convert to Catholicism, right here. You receive the VP, and then the player controlling Rome gets half of that. That happens right now, and I don't think anybody's going to do that. I mean, the Frankie are close, but not close enough. So then the administration cards, and this goes in nation activation order. And nation activation order is oldest to youngest, barbarians first, but the barbarians don't go. Only the civilized nations do this. So that would have been a nice thing to have in this particular player aid. So what we do is we draw 2 plus the administration's leader's bonus. And remember, the administration leader's bonus is at the top. So the diplomacy cards, we should have drawn diplomacy by now, right? Yeah, I got ahead of myself. We need to do diplomacy first. See, diplomacy is in the middle of the leader, and we hit that phase first, and that's the part that is always confusing, but I remember it now. So for example, in Persia's situation here, you see they have a diplomacy of 1, so they're going to get 1 diplomacy card, but see this 0? That means they don't get extra admin cards. That top number on my right is the admin bonus. But we got to do diplomacy first. So that's also in player order. So we're going to start with the Romans. Their leader has a diplomacy value of 1. They get 1 automatically because they are an empire, and then they get 1 more for their diplomacy bonus. So here's what they were looking for right there, the fetus. So they can make the Franks go into a fetus relationship with them. They do have to pay 3 gold and cede 2 provinces to them, but then they get to count all their locations as if it were their own. And so they pay 3 gold, cede 2 provinces. Barbarian nation loses horde. It may be breached by the barbarian without test on the following turn. So the barbarian can always cancel. So that's a really nice one. That's exactly what Romans were looking for. And then the mercenary is they can pay 3 gold to get a barbarian unit to join them, which isn't awful. Okay, next is the kingdom. And we just said that they had 1 diplomacy value on their leader, the Persians. They, since they're a kingdom, they don't get a diplomacy card otherwise. So the card's a decoy, has no other effect. Remember, this is supposed to be a multiplayer game, and this is a secret, like nobody knows what it says. But they do get to turn it in for $1 at the end of the round. So, and then we go to the Byzantines, who have a leader with a 1. So they will get 2, 1 for being an emperor, 1 for... so 2 marriages. The playing nation pays the target a 2 gold dowry. Target nation gains 2 victory points if it makes no attack against the playing nation this turn. So they could pay $2 to the Persians, and then if the Persians don't attack, they get 2 victory points. I don't know if that's a good deal. In exchange, the playing nation receives 1 unit of the target nation's choice to place anywhere in its own territory. That unit cannot fight against its own nation. And they ended up getting 2 of these. So that's interesting. I mean, maybe they can play it against the Visigoths or something, but Okay, now we're in the admin phase, and let's start with Rome. And the admin phase is a very interesting concept. I'm very curious to see how this plays out. So the first thing is, let me show you the Roman leader. The Roman leader is right there on the top. You can see he's a 0-1-1 down along the right side. So that means he gets a +0 bonus to his admin. And in the administration phase, it says you draw 2 plus the leader's bonus. And if they're all the same type, you have to keep drawing. Now, you do get to see what the types is right at the top of the deck. So the first one's going to be a passive. The second one's going to be passive. And so, yes, it says that if they're all the same type, you have to draw until there's at least 2. So he gets 3. Okay, so you choose one type set and you pay for it. If there's no money for either type, the cheaper must be chosen, and then you empty your treasury. This triggers bankruptcy. So you examine the cards and then play 1. You reshuffle for the next nation. So some cards may last more than 1 turn. Some provide or cost gold. A civilized nation may receive 1 of 12 calamities. The nation's leaders may act normally during the turn, or the leaders must remain inactive during the turn. Those are all possibilities. The player aid, I think, is helpful, but I think it's missing some detail here. So I'm going to go look it up real quick, just because this is our first time. The only administration that barbarian nations accomplish is recovery from pillage. So if there's anything pillaged, that belongs to a barbarian, they recover that. Barbarian nation collects no income. They may raid provinces, loot cities, blah, blah, blah. And, okay. So we draw a number of administration cards and then pay for and play one. There are 3 types: passive, military, and reform. Each card has a cost on its back. There's a price for kingdoms and a price for empires, so separate price. It's unrelated to the size or age. Some of the name leaders have an administration bonus that allows them to draw more cards. You must get a minimum of 2. In nation activation order, skipping barbarians, of course, you draw 2, blah, blah, blah. You choose 1 set of cards, passive, military, reform, that the nation can't afford at the end, da, da, da. You pay the type cost. If the set includes more than 1 card, you examine their faces and choose 1. The nation resolves the card, applying its effects immediately. All cards drawn are shuffled back in. So here's the important thing to understand. You don't get to look at them. You only get to look at the front. So I can see here that I'm going to get to choose 2 passive cards. And for an empire, it will cost me $10. Or I can get a reform card that costs me $30. Okay? And you have to be able to afford it, or otherwise you go bankrupt, blah, 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 blah. So what do? I honestly have no idea. So let's look at the deck. Since we have to shuffle it anyways, let's look at some of the cards and just get a feel for it. So for example, this is a military card. And what this is saying is you're going to get $5. Your leaders are allowed to activate this turn and behave normally. And then that +1 means... I have no idea what that means. It's got like all kinds of icons and tells you what they... So then this is a calamity that would happen, right? If you played this card. I don't know what that means. +1 diplomacy? We already did the diplomacy phase. Do they all have something like this? Like that one's similar. See, this one you lose 5 gold, so you have to be careful. And then the calamity is you immediately lose half of your treasury. I mean, that's a bad one. But remember, you don't get to see the other side. And then here, all non-elite units, their cost goes up. So it costs more. So it's a very interesting thing. So far, these military ones aren't very good. Well, at least the calamity's not. I guess you get to use your leader with a military one, because it seems like the green check mark is always checked. Sometimes you can get some money, I guess. I don't know what that oh, that's +1 campaign. You get an extra campaign. Oh, that is potentially worth it. That is potentially very worth it. All right, let's see what a reform looks like. Oh, +10 gold. +1 campaign. I'm pretty sure that's campaign. You know what? Let's look in the rule book and just see if I can find that symbol anywhere else. Like I'm going to look at where it describes. Oh, here we go. The scroll was used during transition. Oh, you get aged. That's what that is. That's it's plus you're aging by 1. Right here. Look. See that? That's the same symbol. So you're going to age 1 on the nation track. Oh, that's potentially bad. So yeah, you would age 1. That's not an extra campaign. Yeah, I'm not sure about these military ones, but they're cheaper than the other ones. So here, a revolt strikes the nation, but you get 10 gold back. Okay, so the thing is the rules say you have to pay for at least 1. So obviously, a 20 cost one is better than a 30 cost one from a purely economic perspective. I mean, I guess this calamity makes you spend, I mean, here you get 10 of your gold back. I'm not sure, like, these look awful. That's what I'm trying to say. They look like they're all awful. Catastrophic fire. Sedition. Jesus. Let's look at a passive one. Oh, see, passive means your leader may not activate. So, and add an in decline counter to the, oh, that's not good. Well, there's one that you don't activate. Here you actually rejuvenate, so you reduce your age by 1. That can actually be pretty good. So the passives look like they're not very good. Oh, this is the usurper one. Passives, almost all of them, I think, have had the inactive leader. So if you want an inactive leader, you go passive. And of course, passive is the cheap route, right? It costs 10 bucks. All right, so the Romans have a choice between 2 passive and 1 reform. The Romans are sitting on 20, 35 bucks. So they would spend all but $5 if they do reform. And remember, they got to spend money to buy troops, all this other stuff. So the question is do the Romans really need their leader to be active? Remember, if you're inactive, you can still intercept and, do stuff like that. It just means that when it's your turn, you're not going to be campaigning. You're not going to be trying to siege anything. It's just so expensive, folks. I wish I could see it. Here I at least get to choose between 2 bad eggs. And just to give you a glimpse, I mean, we have all these units to purchase. So there's a lot of units to purchase if I wanted to purchase some. And remember, the only reason we have 30 bucks is because I kept leftover money. Oh, you know what? We get an income phase, don't we? Yes, we do. Yes, we do. I'm going to spend 30 because of that answer. But I'm going to peek at these. Okay, so I chose 30. We're going to live with it, but we're going to peek at these. Oh, look at that. The only green check mark in the freaking game was there, and we would have gotten 3 gold, although we would have aged by 1. You must breach all alliances, which I guess would have been the Byzantines. This wouldn't have hurt them at all. That actually would have been a decent option. This one, yeah, so it wouldn't have been bad. So let's see what we got behind door number 3. First, let me pay the 30 bucks. All right, so here's 10, flip, 20, 30. So we're down to 5 bucks for Rome. All right, they lose 3 more. So they could have oh, look at this. They're inactive anyways, but here they rejuvenate by 1. So they go back to 9. That was probably worth it, that right there. But they gotta lose 3 bucks, so let's do that real quick. 1, 2, 3, so they're down to $2. They are saying, I want my $2, $2. I want my $2. Okay, so then we gotta do intolerance. The nation is intolerant this turn. All alliances with nations of different religions are immediately broken. No alliance can be made this turn with any nation of a different religion. See calamity details for exception. I'm willing to bet that the Federati thing is an exception. This is number 8. Yeah, it doesn't affect Federa clients or vassals. However, the nation federates, if of a different religion, can break the federation by making a D2 check. Each province with a heretical area that fails a D2 check revolts. And 1 Empire B auxiliary unit of the player's choice is immediately removed from the Empire's service, if any. one barbarian auxiliary unit. That would be, I don't think they have any. I mean, the Mauritarians, those aren't barbarian tribes per se. Yeah, they are. Okay, so this barbarian unit gets removed for this round. And then I guess the two heretical places have to check for a revolt, which I don't remember where in the rulebook that is. Page 14. So you would designate an area, but that's right, revolts reduce your money. So we're gonna do, this is Africa. I rolled a 9, so how do I know if it revolted or not? Oh, D2 check, that failed. And then we're gonna do the Britannia area. That one passed. So revolt marker is gonna go up there, and it'll be a revolt minus marker. So they're gonna lose a coin. And I guess we'll put it in the same place as the heresy marker. All right. Okay, so I think that resolves it. And then what this means, like I said, they're going to be inactive. And that's not necessarily the best thing in the world, but for the Romans, that's also not the worst. Sorry, I'm just pulling up the page again, because I want to read exactly what it says. If the card shows the leader with a green check mark, then the nation's leaders act normally. If it's a red X, the leader, emperor, king, plus any unnamed extra leader must remain inactive in the capital during the turn. Name non-ruler leaders, such as Roman generals, are always active. What the heck? Name non-ruler leaders, such as Roman generals, are always active. An inactive leader may still intercept, blah, blah, blah. Okay, so I think what that's saying then is that Caesar has to come back to the capital, like so. This named leader does not have to. All right, so I know that was a lot of time, but I was really trying to get a feel for how this phase works. And this phase is actually, it's interesting. I don't know what to think about it. There's a whole lot of time-consuming steps to this game. The economy thing is almost too detailed for me. I wish there was like a simpler way to add up how much money you're getting and spending. I almost wish that, you know, the Romans just made this much on turn 1, period. And then, you know, controlling provinces and areas is just a factor of a military exercise more than an economic one. But, okay. So now we're moving to the Persians, who have a admin skill of 0. So here you can see they took 2 passive, and then it says keep drawing until you get an extra type. So they now have 3 passive and 1 military. And as you can see, it's $5 for these, $10 for that. Excuse me, the Persians, I'm going to check their money. They have $32. So they could easily afford the 20 for a military, which would allow them to activate and try to continue to take Orions there, which, as you can see, is sort of ripe for the pickings, although the Byzantines will get to go first. But in doing so, they're passing up 3 passives, which of the three, there's got to be a good one in there, you would think. So that's what makes this a tough choice. But I think there's only one of these that has a... No, this is very important for a distinction. See that there? That's a king symbol. So if we get an inactive, this guy would have to be inactive. So they would lose the 2 bonus campaigns that he's going to provide. I don't like it, but I'm going to choose the 20. But and there's Y, right? X, X, X. And they all would have aged by 1. I'm not even sure Usurper would have done anything. This would have, of course, been the best option. They would have gotten $5. What did they get? They did get the green check mark, which is what they wanted. They aged by 1 more, so I'm moving them up to 6. They do get $5, so they spent basically 15, and they're going to have increased costs for this round. So I guess technically they keep this, and this does impact them whenever they do the income step. So non-elite unit costs goes up by 1. Elite purchases goes up by 2. Rebuilding a damaged elite costs plus 1 gold. All right, so what did we say? They only spent 15. So 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15. So they are sitting at $17, which is still a very good hefty number for them. And then let's look at the Byzantines now. The Byzantines don't get anything, so let's shuffle. See, that's the thing. When the barbarians become a kingdom, they're going to have to deal with this. All right, so again, 2 passives and a military. That's their choices. The Byzantines are sitting on 40 gold right now. So they could afford the military card. They know that if they do the passive, what would happen is actually their Caesar would sit and they would still have their general. Their general gets no campaigns this round. They have a very awful general. So I think what they're going to do is they're going to just pay $10 for a passive. And they're going to use their money to buy reinforcements. So we're just going to spend $10, go down to 30. And let's see what we didn't get. That actually would have been really nice. But that's okay. Oh my gosh, they got the 1 passive. That's good. They would breach alliance, which means that the Romans would no longer be their ally. Or they can go inactive and get an extra $5 and get no calamity. I honestly don't know how badly they need this green check mark. So I'm going to just, first of all, I'm going to increase their age to 5. And I'm actually going to choose this one. And they'll just get an extra $5 and they keep their alliance with Rome. The alliance with Rome isn't necessarily awesome. It's just that it's nice that, I mean, it's all the red player anyway, so the red player is not going to attack his own territory unless it benefits him point-wise. So 1, 2, 3, 4. I get extra $5. All right, so that was interesting. Can't say it adds a lot of fun, but it's definitely a neat mechanic. I mean, it's not something I've seen before. That part I appreciate. I would think that reform should be very beneficial. I didn't see a lot of very beneficial stuff in the reform cards. But I mean, I guess you did get to rejuvenate, which was good. So next up is the income phase, which could be a very long phase, right? Because we have to calculate all the income now. I'm not looking forward to this. This will be why I quit playing this game. The barbarians just recover from pillage. I have no idea if there's any pillage markers out there for the barbarians. Technically, Sarmatia is under control of nobody at the moment, so I don't even know who recovers that pillage marker there. But I don't think there's any pillage markers for barbarians to recover, so we're going to go ahead and just skip the barbarians. First up would be the Romans, and I still think the best course of action is just to start with their full income and then go backwards, if that makes sense. So, for example, at the beginning of the administration phase, Rome's treasury is adjusted according to its age. They only keep half the money if they're age 9 through 12. So technically speaking, Rome could not afford the $30. Because Rome was at, what, $35? They would have lost 17. And they would have only been at $17. So that would have forced them to take the passive card. That's a big mistake on my part. Yep, very big mistake. The Persians also have a similar effect, and so does the... Now, the Byzantines were less than 4 years, so they're not impacted. The Persians... They were between 5 to 8. They would have lost 1/3 of their money. The Persians would have. So, gosh, I don't even remember how much money they had. Currently, the Persians are sitting on a lot of money. I think I just got to redo the step. And I don't know how else to resolve this better. So I'm going to get rid of the revolt marker here. We know that the Byzantines were maxed out. We know that the Persians had 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. They had an extra $15. So they were at least at 32, and we know that the Romans were at 35. I believe that's how it looked. And yeah, we're gonna have to do it over. My apologies. That was brutal. Oh, so while I'm shuffling this, I know that we need to adjust the monies. The Byzantines would have lost nothing. So technically, we didn't need to redo the Byzantine turn. They lost 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. The Byzantines are fine. We know that they have the green check mark. They got lucky. The Persians had this thing, right? Which would have cost 20. Okay, and then the Persians are gonna lose 1/3. So they're sitting on 20, $32. So I'm just gonna say 1/3 is 10. I'm gonna round down. So they lose $10 because of their age. So they're now sitting on 22. And then the Romans being at 9, well, actually they're 10. So this one aged, that one we don't know yet. So the Romans, being at 10 years, or 10 age, they only keep half their money. So they're sitting on 35 bucks, so they're gonna go down to what, 17 or 18? So we're gonna round it to 18. Okay, so, all right, well, let's go again. Romans, passive, military, that's all they get. They don't get the reform like they did before. They're sitting on 18 bucks. They can't even afford the 20, so they have to buy the 10. That is the Roman dilemma. And yes, they go inactive, but they do get 5 bucks. They age one more time, so they're at 11, and nothing happens to them. This actually stays out of the game because that's what they got for the turn. If we ever get the, well, here, let me just grab it. This green passive is the one that the Constantinople got. So there should be no other green passive in here. Yeah. Okay, so we'll take that out of the game. And I still have to pay the money. So they ended up getting plus $5, right? The Caesar is inactive, just like before, and they're gonna have to pay $10 in maintenance, but they got 5, so they really only paid 5. So here we go, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. They're at 13, and so now we got to deal with the Persians. The Persians get a reform and a military, and this is an interesting choice for them. They can afford both. They're sitting on $22. So if they spent 20 for the reform and then this has a minus income, they could actually go bankrupt. So they're going to spend the 10 for the military. So let's check. Oh, they would have been fine. They would have been inactive, and they actually would have rejuvenated, and this would have been a heresy. So reform is actually quite decent. So they're spending the 10, and that's what they wanted. They do age by 1, so they're back up to 6. This card resolves once the purchases step is complete. If D2 check is passed, lose 1 unit, otherwise lose 2. They're randomly selected, and this is after purchases. An intact elite unit is flipped. This is going to be really hard to resolve. I'm almost tempted to say they're just going to have to purchase a unit. And I'm just going to randomly choose which one they purchase, right? I'm going to just say they have to purchase a unit, and they randomly choose which one they're purchasing, and they just have to lose that money. And the reason I'm doing that is because this is annoying. And I know that you could possibly have one of your elite units damaged. I get that you guys are going to say it's not exactly the same, but the game needs to be fun, and trying to randomly select, I mean, look at all those units they have. I mean, how do I randomly select from those? I'm gonna have to pick all those up and put them in a cup, and then what? I'm gonna have to remember what location they used to be on. I'm not into that. I'm not into that at all. So I'll just make them pay for a unit that they don't get. And they rolled a 9, so they're gonna have to pay for 2 units that they don't get. Okay? So that's how I'll deal with it. I mean, I do understand the whole concept of losing the elite status of one of their units. And of course, it's after the purchase step, so it means they can't purchase the upgrade. We'll do it the hard way. We'll figure it out. I'm sorry, I just don't like it, but we'll figure it out. Okay, next step is income. All right, so we're gonna end here, and I'll do income on the next video. Thanks for watching. Stay awesome.